Good morning, everyone. After
Morning,
uh,
sir.
discussing on some separation techniques, today we will continue. A few more techniques are there to separate the components of a mixture. Okay, so this chapter is regarding what whether whatever we see matter in our surroundings is pure or not. If it is not pure, if it is impure, how to separate them? What is the sample? What is that sample called? So all this point we are discussing. Okay. So through the entire chapter. So I think we are almost on the completion of this second chapter, where today and tomorrow we will discuss about the last part of the second chapter. So today's topic of discussion is how can we separate a mixture of two miscible liquids. Miscible means to mix. When the two liquids are mixed, how to separate them? When the two liquids are immiscible, for example, kerosene and the water, we have seen in our last interactions, the time we separated two immiscible liquids by the method decantation using a special apparatus known as separating funnel. This we learnt. That was the case of what? Two immiscible liquids. Today, two liquids are miscible. They mix well. They mix well. When they mix well, can we use the same technique? We can't. Okay. Therefore, depend upon the nature of the components I told depend upon the nature of the components and nature of a mixture, we have to use what a suitable method. So for the two miscible liquids, we will use a special technique known as what? Distillation. So distill means to purify. Distill means to take out in the pure form. Distill means to refine and to take out. So all these are equivalent words meanings for the distill. So distill to purify. That means we are purifying. Correct, no? When the two liquids are mixed, they are not pure, they are mixed. So how to separate them in the pure form? That is called distillation. So distillation is a separation technique used to separate components of especially miscible liquids. This is the best for miscible liquids. And this method is based on the boiling point. Whose boiling point? Boiling point of the liquids which have mixed. For example, A is a liquid, B is a liquid. Now both are miscible. So when A and B are mixed, how to separate them? The term, please check their boiling points. Okay. And boiling points difference to be big. If narrow difference is there, then some other technique will follow. Okay. So when the difference in the boiling point is big, okay, that time this is the best method. For example, A, whose boiling point is 40 degrees centigrade, and B, whose boiling point is 80 degrees centigrade. Difference is 40 degree. A's boiling point is what? 40 degrees centigrade. And B's boiling point is 80 degrees centigrade. What is boiling point? Boiling point is the temperature at which liquid starts boiling. You take water in the laboratory, okay, in a container or in a test tube, start heating it. When water starts boiling, when the boiling starts, that time note down the temperature. That is the boiling point of water. And water's boiling point is 100 degree centigrade. This we have water seen in the table. There are many tables available. They are called as the ready-made tables where we will come to know the boiling points of all the liquids present in the chemistry. They have taken out now. Now they have taken out the melting point, freezing point, boiling point. All the data is available. Only thing is you have to refer it. Hmm? So when the difference in the boiling point is big enough, okay. So for example, I have taken A and B. A's boiling point is 40 degrees centigrade and the B's boiling point is 80 degrees centigrade and both are miscible. That time, please take in the container, in a flask. That flask is called as what? Distillation flask. Okay. That flask is called as what? Distillation flask. Please here. This is what this is using the arrow mark cursor. This is distillation flask. Okay, having cork here. Cork is to close. Cork is to close. So this cork will be having two holes. One hole for the funnel and the other hole for the thermometer to note down the temperature, how much is inside. Okay, right. Now this is outlet for the vapors. When the liquid starts boiling, no, vapors are formed. So to come out, here is the outlet. So when it comes out, no, so it will go via this apparatus. This is called as condenser. So what is its role? Its work is to condense the vapor. When the vapors are condensed, so vapors becomes what? Liquid. When we condense the water vapor becomes water liquid. Okay. So like that. So here there are some arrangements are made. So this apparatus is called as what? Condenser. Okay. So this is outlet. Outlet is given some delivery tube. So that tube is connected to the condenser, and up to here it is given connection. Inside the gas will flow, and the gas will flow inside the condenser. Water is always flowing. So water comes from the bottom and comes out from the top. So continuously water will be flowing. Why water will be flowing? To keep the inside condenser cool. When the inside tube of the condenser is cool, that time when the vapors enters the cold condition, automatically vapors are condensed, they become liquid, and that liquid is collected here at the in the beaker or any container. This is what we arrange. So this is the arrangement we make it. Okay, right. Now this is what mixture of A and B we have taken. Now we will heat it. Okay, we will heat it. So when we heat, it becomes warm. It becomes warm. Okay. When the temperature inside the flask becomes 40 degrees centigrade, okay, that time A starts boiling. I told you what is boiling point. Boiling point is the temperature at which a liquid starts boiling. Now the temperature inside the flask is 40 degrees centigrade, that we can note down from the thermometer. So when the temperature inside the flask is 40 degrees centigrade, the time A starts boiling, not the B. Why? Because B yet to reach its boiling point. Boiling point of B is 80 degrees centigrade. Too far. Therefore, B liquid has not reached the boiling point. It will become warm. That's all. Okay. But boiling, it is only A will boil first, because it has reached the boiling point. Therefore, A starts boiling. When the A starts boiling, A vapors are formed. So gases of A are formed here, A liquid. So those A vapors or the A gases will move, because the gas, no, it starts moving. So B will be there only in the warm condition. It is only the A vapors. They come via this delivery tube, outlet delivery tube, and they move in this area. When they move in this area, now they are cooled. So they are cooled and their drop is collected here in the beaker. And you have to keep an eye on the thermometer. So always keep an eye on the thermometer. Here I have not fixed here, but you have to fix it actually. So why the temperature will be always 40 degree only? Why still A is there inside? As long as A is inside, A starts boiling. Okay, because temperature is 40 degree only. So when the complete A converts into vapors of A, okay, then that you can see the mercury mark starts increasing. It starts moving. Okay, that's why I told you, please keep an eye on the thermometer. When the mercury mark on the thermometer starts moving from 40, earlier it was constant. Why constant? Because A is there, no, latent heat of vaporization, latent heat of fusion, all those we learned in the first chapter. Okay, so as long as A is inside, the temperature will not move. Whatever you are supplying extra heat energy, that extra heat energy is utilized to convert the A liquid into vapors of A quickly, fastly, so that all the A liquid converts into A vapors. So when all the A liquid becomes A vapors, then automatically, because you're heating, you're heating now, B has to reach its boiling point. To reach the boiling point of B liquid, so automatically you will see mercury mark is start increasing. That you can see the thermometer. You'll see it. So when the mercury mark starts moving in the thermometer, that is the indication that A liquid has come out. A liquid has come out. That time stop heating. Stop heating. Okay. So that B will not reach the boiling point. Let B in the flask only. All the A came out. Then now you tell me, out of the two, which component came first? It is A component came first. A's component's boiling point is what? It is 40 degrees centigrade. It means what? The component whose boiling point is less. Okay. The component whose boiling point is less, that will come first. This is the basic principle of distillation. Okay. So distillation depends upon difference in the boiling points of the liquids. First point. Second point is what? The component whose boiling point is less will come first. Then you go further. Once you separate this, take out the beaker, bring one more beaker, then start heating. When it reaches the 80 degree inside, B starts boiling, B vapors are formed, B will come, B will condense here, and B collects in the second beaker. So in this way, we will separate the components. Okay, this is the diagrammatic way in the examination. Okay, so stand,
Sir,
clamp to hold. Okay, distillation flask, thermometer. Okay, so outlet.
sir,
This is a condenser. So this is a two water ways for the water to flow. Water will go from here and come out here. Okay, why water from the bottom it is sent slowly? Because if you send water from the top, it comes fastly because natural flow is there. No, but here we are forcing water to move from the bottom to top so that it moves slowly. When it moves slowly, then for a longer time we can keep the cooling atmosphere inside here. So when the vapors comes in this area, they are cooled. When they are cooled, drops of the that liquid is formed here and collected here. Okay, this is what experimental setup for separation of mixture which contains two liquids. One is acetone, one is water. Acetone boiling point is less than the water boiling point. Okay, so water boiling point is 100 centigrade. It is acetone is in the range of 60 to 40. It is very low. Therefore, when we start boiling, I told you components whose boiling point is less will come first. Here, boiling point of acetone is very much lesser than the water. So, it is the acetone comes first. So, when all acetone comes first, stop heating. That you can see from thermometer movement. Okay, mercury movement. Then take out the beaker. Then bring next beaker. Then start heating. Then water comes out. So, in this way, you can separate acetone, water. Both are easily, they mix well. This is called distillation technique. Now, one more technique is there. In the distillation only, it is a fractional distillation.
sir, with the
Fraction,
melting
what is a
point of
fraction?
water is
Fraction is a part. We have learned a fraction in the mathematics 1 by 2, 3 by 4. Out of 4, 3 parts. Out of 2, 1 part, 1 by 2. So roti is taken, two halves are made, two halves are made. So I will take one. So what is my sharing? Out of two halves, I have taken one. So I have taken 1 by 2. That is a fraction. So here fraction is what? It is a part. What is a part? Part of the mixture. For example, then what difference is there between the distillation? Just now we learned with this distillation fractional. Difference is the previous one is called as what? Simple distillation, and this one is already I wrote on the top title fractional distillation. Okay, so simple distillation is used for the two liquids only, where boiling point difference is big. Here, when we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 liquids mixed, okay, and their boiling point difference is narrow. One is having 40, one is 45, one is 50, 55, 60, 65. Difference is only 5. Okay, or 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10-degree difference only. When the difference in the boiling point is small and when the components are more than 2, 3, 4, the time this is the best. Here we separate in fractions in a group. Means what? We first note down. We first note down how many components are there in a particular mixture. Whether it is 10 components or 5 components or 6 components. So we see all the components. So after seeing all the components, their boiling point also will note down. We will note down the boiling points. So when you note down the boiling points, we will come to know. For example, I am having A, B, C, D, E, 5 components. When the 5 components are there, whose boiling point is 10 degree, then 30 degree, then 50 degree, 70, and then 90. Okay. So we will be knowing the lowest boiling point is 10 degree and highest is 90 degree. So keeping this range in the mind, we heat up to 90 degree or 100 degree centigrade. Okay. That time what happens here? We are heating up to 90 degree. No, that means all the components will go to the vapor state because all have reached the boiling point. Starting from A to the E, from 10 degrees centigrade to the 90 degrees centigrade, every liquid has reached the boiling point. So all will go to vapor state. That means we will get all the vapors moving at a time. That time what you do, on the top of the flask we keep one separate tower. The tower is called what? Fractionating tower. That means it will give some kind of obstruction, some kind of obstacle for the flow of the vapors. Okay. So the boiling point of a liquid whose boiling point is very low move fast because already it has reached. Okay. So it is already in the vapor. When we are heating the mixture for 90 degrees centigrade, okay, that means to reach 90 degrees, we have already crossed 10, 20, 30, 40. So vapors of the component whose boiling point is the least will be more. So then when that mixture of vapors moves to the top in the fractionating column where some obstructions are there, only the boiling point of a liquid which is least will move. It is already reached. Now boiling point of the other liquids are in 40 degree. So when they leave the hot area, they become liquid. They will come down again. They will fall in the flask only. That you can see here. See here, this is what fractionating column. So when the all the vapors will move, okay. So only the component whose boiling point is very less will move fast because already it is reached the boiling point. But others, then the range, So when they leave this area, hot area, they become cold. Why cold? Because their boiling point is 90, 70. No. So here is at 90 degree temperature is there, but here it is not 90. It is less than 90. So they become, so due to the obstruction caused by this tower and due to less temperature compared to this area, so except the component whose boiling point is very less, all will become liquid and they will come down. They will fall down here. They will trickle down. That means A is moving, all will fall down. A is moving, all will come down. So this will happen. So in the meantime, only A will come and it will condense here, okay, and A separates. Then B separates. So depend upon the difference in the boiling point, A, B, C, D, all those separates. Otherwise, what they do? Sometimes for this frustrating tower, one more extra apparatus device is what fixed here. So they will be kept at different boiling points. So that depend upon the boiling point, A will enter one room, B will enter other room. So that is called what? They are called as fractions. Okay. So this application we use for separating the components where they have the more components. Best example is air. Air contains nitrogen, air contains carbon dioxide, air contains argon, air contains oxygen. So to separate the components of air, this is the best method. And to separate the components of the petroleum products, because whatever we get from the earth crust, it is a crude, impure. Okay, that impure petroleum is subjected to the fractional distillation where petrol separates, diesel separates, kerosene separates, wax separates, LPG separates. So all those different components separates depend upon the temperature that you can see here. Okay, this diagram will show what difference in the simple distillation and the fractional distillation. Everything is same. Only difference is what? This tower is we are keeping extra. See, flask, collector, condenser, thermometer. Everything is same. Everything is same. Where we find difference? Difference is here. So here we keep an extra tower. Okay. So that extra tower, okay, will allow vapors to move slowly. The vapor whose boiling point is less will move fast, whereas the vapors whose boiling point is more will move slowly and it will condense, it will fall back. So this is what difference between simple distillation and the fractional distillation. Okay, same diagram in different ways, different example. Okay, see here are the application. So nitrogen, oxygen are separated from the air, and the components of the petroleum are separated from this method. Ethanol from the fermented liquor. See, sugar industry will prepare sugar from sugarcane juice. Once the sugar is taken out, whatever waste is left, that waste is sent to the liquor industry, where they take out the ethanol by this method only. This we learn in the higher class. Okay, right. Please see, air in the gaseous state, that air is under high pressure and low temperature. So when the high pressure and low temperature are applied, it becomes liquid. So that liquid air with a special cryogenic techniques. So cryogenic techniques are the techniques which we use for the cold conditions, not in our normal laboratory. Special laboratories are required. Okay. So using the special laboratories under the cryogenic techniques, because see the boiling point of oxygen is minus 183, whereas argon is minus 186, nitrogen is 196, very low, very low. Okay. So depend upon the difference in the boiling point using the special technique. I am using the word special techniques. Okay. Detailed study not there. We learn in the higher class. Now you remember that in the 9th class, liquid air, from the liquid air, oxygen and the nitrogen are separated by fractional distillation, because both are useful component. The air we separate is sent to the hospitals where patients require for the artificial breathing, and the nitrogen what we separate, that is sent to the fertilizer industry for the preparation of fertilizers. So both components of air are very useful. That's why we apply this technique for the separation. Okay, right. Now see this one. This is the techniques they use in the water, fractional distillation of the air. So air under pressure, okay, under cold condition, liquid air separates, okay, depending upon the difference in the boiling point, this area fractional distillation, only liquid nitrogen, liquid oxygen comes first, okay, its boiling point is very low, no, then comes liquid nitrogen, okay, then this is under high pressure and low temperature. Then what do we do reverse condition. So low pressure and high temperature, that time liquid oxygen becomes the gaseous oxygen, that is collected separately. So in this way we separate. One more example is here, separation of the components of the petroleum. See here, it is a petroleum fraction naphtha, okay, called as a solid residue, kerosene, diesel residue for the wax, Vaseline, all those. This is LPG area. Okay, so all these is separate. We learn in the higher class. This is diagrammatically represented, but actually they carry out here. This is one sample I brought, how it is carried out. Factories, petroleum refineries are there in India. Okay, near Mathura. So best factories are there. So when we enter in the higher class, actually you will see how it is done. Now time you have an idea. So whether it is a simple distillation or a fractional distillation, both depends upon the difference in the boiling point. Okay, right. Now how to separate pure copper sulfate from the impure sample. So this is done. What we will do, for example, when we prepare the copper sulfate from different method, okay, it is pure only, around 90 to 90% pure only. But sometimes to go for the 100% purity, what we do, we dissolve this 90% pure copper sulfate in the sulfuric acid, and little water will add, thoroughly we will boil it. What happens, sulfuric acid takes out the water content or any other impurity, so then makes free. Again you go for the filtration, again you go for the after the filtration, evaporation. So after certain evaporation we keep it aside. So on its own crystals, solid crystals of copper sulfate comes out, okay, separates out. Again if you feel that is impure, again dissolve it in the water, okay. Then we go for, that means dissolve, evaporation, dissolve, evaporation. So repeated dissolution, repeated evaporation, okay. So all these techniques will give at the end. By chance if it is having any other extra color, that time what we do, some color remover. In chemistry there are some chemicals, they are called as color removers. So those color removers are added. So after adding the color removers, we will heat it, we will boil it, again we filter it. So the clear liquid at the bottom collected, that is kept for evaporation. So after 90% evaporation is over, last 10% we keep it aside. So remaining 10% is, everything will go. Pure blue color crystals of copper sulfate comes out. This technique is known as what? Crystallization. Separating crystals is known as crystallization. Okay, right. See, in this way we get the blue color crystals. Okay, right. Now see here, this one, this is what separation techniques we follow for the purification of water. Okay, water from the main tank. So here it is allowed to settle so that all mud particles settles down. This is called decantation or sedimentation. That's why the tank is called what? Sedimentation tank. Here we add some potash alum or potassium aluminum sulfate chemicals so that it is loaded, made heavy. So further any dust particles or the mud particles are there, they will settle down. Okay, then that is sent to the main tank where we treat it chemically, either by adding chlorine tablets or by adding the potassium permanganate. So certain chemicals are added. They are called as disinfectant, or they have the what? They kill the microbes. They kill the microorganisms. Okay. So in the microorganisms which are there by chance due to some reasons that are killed, that means water is disinfected. Water is made fit for drinking. That is sent to another tank. Okay. So here once again chlorine are added. Okay. After the filtration, this is filtration tank. Okay. So after the filtration tank, here the microorganisms are killed here. Then clean water which is fit for drinking, that is called potable water. That is sent to different parts of the your area. Okay. This is the work of water municipal board. So there is a board known as water board in the DC office. So that work is done by the water board and they will supply clean water to the public. In this way, this is called water. Water purification system in water works done by the water boards. That is not our work. So they will take care. Okay, right. Now, so here there's some photo I have taken from the system. Okay, right. Now we'll come to water. Last part of the chapter where there are many changes in the nature. So we don't learn all those changes. We learn only about the two changes. Okay, important changes. One is physical change, other one is chemical change. Okay, right. What is physical change? By diagram only will come to know. Here wood is made into two pieces, 2, 10, 20. So it is wood only. Earlier it was a log, wood log. So wood log was made into small pieces for our daily use. So that is, it is wood only. So wood property is not changed. There is no change in the property of the wood. Wood is maintaining the property. It is instead of the bigger one, now it is small pieces. Okay. So here we don't find any change in the property. That's why it is called as physical change. A change where outside appearance is changed, not the property inside appearance. Okay, property remains same. Whereas same wood when you burn it, now wood is whatever in the wood is there, no carbon, all those. So they become carbon dioxide or the water vapor. Okay, so that means here wood is converting into different. Total change. Ash forms, residue forms, so oxide forms. So all those are what? All those something new. So a change where something new is formed, where the originality is lost. Chemicals will lose their property. So all these comes under the what? Chemical change. Whereas if simply by cutting the wood or by simply tearing the paper, making two pieces, it's a physical change. We boil the water. So earlier it was water is liquid. Now we are boiling, it becomes vapor. It is water only. When water reacts with some chemicals, that is chemical change. Okay. So in the chemical change, something new is formed. It is a permanent. It is irreversible. Whereas physical change is what? It is temporary. You can reverse it. Water, when you boil it, it becomes water vapor. When the water vapor is cooled, it will come back. Okay. So in most of the cases, you can bring back. In some cases, it is difficult, but many examples are there where you have seen it is reversible. Okay. Right. So, see difference here. Physical change, chemical change. Physical changes are mostly reversible, whereas chemical changes are not reversible. No new substances are formed. One or more new substances are formed. This is breaking the wood. This is the burning the wood. The substance retains its chemical property. Wood remains wood only. Here, the new substances formed have different property from the original substances. That means they lose the property. So, on this ground only we can differentiate between what? Physical change and the chemical change. See here, some examples I brought for the physical changes. Okay, please go through. Breaking glass, mixing candles. Okay, all these are examples for physical changes, whereas these are the permanent changes, chemical changes. Okay, iron undergoes rusting. When iron undergoes rusting, it is iron oxide, totally change. Burning wood, already I told. Metabolism, we eat food, it converts into energy or something different in the body. Cooking an egg, the egg becomes totally change. Okay, then baking a cake. Earlier it was atta, now it is a cake. Okay, so many examples are there where we come to know change the property. That all comes under what? Chemical changes. So today I think we discussed a lot about the chapter. No problem. So
Yes, sir.
so that we completed the second chapter, because the second chapter, so the forthcoming um, periodic test is there. So tomorrow what we will do? Tomorrow we are going to discuss any doubt if at all left in the chapter, plus regarding test. So any area if it is left unattended, everything will be cleared from in the tomorrow's session. Okay. So tomorrow it is only open discussion, your doubt clarification.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from textbook or from the what I told from the content. So any doubt regarding the discussion till now, so we discuss tomorrow, and tomorrow everything, any small bit also is attended and clarified. So till then, please study the textbook. So whatever I said today, so timing you will feel that it is understood, but today evening only you go through the textbook. So read the textbook, understand the concept, and recall what we discussed. So together you go further your own notes. That will be a permanent in your software. Okay. So till then, keep thinking and keep studying. Don't waste your time. Time is very important. So that's why. So with this, I am going to conclude my today's session, and in the forthcoming, that is tomorrow, we are going to discuss general way of discussing the chapter. Okay, so that everything is clear. Till then, have a nice time, and thank you, my dear students.
Sir, sir,
Sir, can't